I am just going to jump right into this video today. I know it's getting dark, so I feel a little pressed for time. I've been extremely busy. Just there are not enough hours in the day, it seems like sometimes, actually, most times. But I recently have started getting a lot of videos suggested to me about how the STD rates are skyrocketing in the United States. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about um, just that in general. You know, I took a sex ed class in school like last year, and it was extremely disheartening and disappointing. I mean, appalled wouldn't even skim the top of it, okay? It was pointless, to be honest with you. It was a waste of money, and if I could get my money back, I totally would, because I gained absolutely nothing from having to invest 4 months of my life into that particular subject, okay? But luckily, growing up in the 90s, they instilled in our heads, the risks associated with having relations with random strangers, So I wanted to take today to, just talk a little bit about that. HIV is definitely something that you cannot get rid of. That is something that you have to take medication for every single day. And we are living in a society where, they are definitely minimizing the risks associated with this. The whole, it's undetectable, blah, 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 right? Well, you got people out here in hookup culture sleeping with people they don't even know. You have married people doing whatever they're doing and coming back home to their spouse. I mean, it is extremely unsafe out here. And biblically, I mean, this would kind of fit underneath the category of separating the wheat from the tares, okay? I cannot think of a better time to, invest into yourself and practice self-control, and maybe learn some decency and some self-respect than right now. Because people are not thinking of tomorrow's consequences, okay? But I'm not trying to get on here and like overly preach or anything, but the fact is, there's 20,000 new cases of, that was like last month, of HIV in Texas. That is terrifying, okay? And I know a lot of men that don't go to the doctor. Like, even if they're on their deathbed, they're not going to go. Are they going to go get down there checked out? Probably not, okay? I've heard stories of people where, they'll get drunk at the bar or whatever, hook up with somebody, and then a couple weeks later, I mean, they're just having a crazy outbreak of something else you can't get rid of down there, and they have to take medication every day too. I mean, it's just extremely unsafe to do anything but be by yourself right now. The Bible didn't just emphasize not, having relations before marriage. It wasn't just suggested to be controlling or anything like that. It was suggested for specific reasons, okay? When you are being intimate with somebody, you are sharing your energy with somebody. There's a lot of witches and warlocks, a lot of people doing stuff that they should not be doing nowadays, okay? Fornicating and sleeping with people before marriage opens door to spirit spouses, addiction. There's a whole bunch of other things associated with sleeping with random people. As I already stated, you don't know what these people do behind closed doors. I mean, you can pass spirits along to other people by being intimate with them. And that is mainly all I really wanted to say in this video. When you are just sleeping with random people, obviously you're opening door to lust, Jezebel, succubus, incubus. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, okay? Bondage, addiction, the spirit of infirmity. Obviously there's emotional ties, spirit spouses, things like that. associated with this type of behavior. Um, in a biblical sense, when a man and a woman are together, they become one flesh, okay? Um, you have women out here that are just sleeping with random people and don't know why they can't find somebody to settle down with. Well, it's probably because of your behaviors, and I'm just getting really tired of living in this state of people just avoiding the truth and the reality of the situation. This is a dire situation that we are all in. Um, and for those of you that, want to heed what I'm saying, if you are, or even if you're just somebody that wants to, better yourself, have a little bit of self control, maybe just try to jump on the straight and narrow path, you are going to have to battle with the spirit of lust. There is no way around it. Okay. That also kind of comes in through corn addiction, all kinds of other stuff. Okay. But, you're, God wants you to offer up your body as a living sacrifice to Him. And the way to do that is through self control. And a good place to start is with the lust. Okay. A long time ago, if you've watched any of my other videos, you would know that I got violated in high school. And, I used to say for the longest time that I thought that when you are violated in that way, it takes something from you. I no longer think that, okay? I think when you're violated like that, I think it gives demonic entities a legal right, and they think authority to enter into your life, okay? And they gradually seep in. You open up one door and more, and many, many, many more are going to open after that, okay? If you have, just for a scenario, let's say you got violated and then, you're just like, oh, I'm just going to go sleep with all these other people, right? So that opens up the door to lust. Well, then that can open up a door to addiction because you're like, okay, well, I'm not, getting my rocks off just doing this. Maybe we should start making corn. Maybe I should start watching it. You know what I mean? And then that leads into other addictions, substances, all kinds of stuff, okay? The path to salvation is very narrow for a reason, okay? But lust is something that we could all overcome, but you've got to want to do it, okay? Um, in regards to spirit spouses, a lot of the time, spirit spouses will ruin marriages. Your spirit spouse doesn't want you to be happy. They want you all to themselves, right? So, um, they could start putting thoughts into your partner's head, and that can start causing conflicts, and then that starts causing tension, and pretty soon your whole marriage is destroyed and you wasted 10, 15, 20 years of your life with somebody, right? All because you were not able to conquer yourself first, okay? um, but people that, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult to do. I think breaking the lust was one of the hardest things I've had to do for myself personally. And I also have battled with addictions. Yes, I've never, heavily gotten into substances, but I've definitely dabbled, and I've definitely hung on to certain things a lot longer than I should have, like drinking off and on like that for a few years, 10, 20 years. Smoking, that was a battle for about 20 years too. You have got to learn how to control yourself, okay? But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. If you are trying to elevate yourself, if you are tired of having chaos happening all the time, um, start by cutting out lust and see what happens, right? When I got divorced back in 2018, I was tired. I was tired of dealing with the same type of men. Most of the time they were beneath me. I don't want to sound like I'm better than anybody else because I'm not, but I've already stated in another video, sometimes when you meet people, you need to leave them where you found them. It's situations like that. Lust opens up door to having children with people that you should not be having children with on top of everything else, okay? But I got tired in 2018, and I told myself back then that I wasn't going to be with anybody. And that was the best decision I have ever made, okay? I talked to somebody a little bit here and there right after 2018. But pretty much after that, I decided to be celibate and not be intimate with somebody else. There are two different ways to be celibate. Not having relations with somebody, obviously, and then full celibacy is where you're not engaging with yourself for pleasure, okay? Once you get deeper into your spiritual walk and want to start living a cleaner, healthier, more righteous life, you will understand the significance of your energy and why you don't want to share it with people, okay? But even when you are satisfying yourself by yourself, there is still something taking that energy from you. Incubus, succubus. You learn over time not to do those things, okay? And that is going to be the ultimate form of self-control, is full celibacy, okay? But I was celibate for about, I don't know, I think like 6 years or so, 6.5. Fell off a little bit, but then right now I have far surpassed a year of full celibacy. And when you are able to do that and conquer yourself, God starts showing you more and more and more, because he starts trusting you more and more and more. But it has not been an easy walk, but it is definitely attainable. You've got to want to do it. I knew I was elevating after I stopped being intimate with people in 2019, because that's where the dreams started coming in. I was having sexual dreams. It was about I'd say maybe about 2 months ago is when the sexual dreams stopped. I got to the point where I was able to wake myself up in the dream, if it turned sexual, and it would just be weird. Like I could be having dinner with somebody or something in the dream, and then all of a sudden, that's another thing too, eating in the dream. That's a whole other conversation, okay? But just to stay on topic, I could, act like I'm sitting down with somebody, and then all of a sudden it would turn sexual and I would wake myself up. Because these demons know if they can't get you in the physical realm, they're going to get you in the spiritual realm, okay? And when they get you in the spiritual realm, I can't say that word today, they're going to come for you in your dreams, right? A lot of witches and warlocks do that too. They come to you in your dreams. If you want to minimize the attacks from witches and warlocks, I would highly suggest that you learn how to be obedient to yourself and God and leave the lust alone, man. Sleeping with somebody nowadays is playing with absolute fire, and it is not worth it. It is not worth it. And I gotta say, the clarity that I've been given for separating myself from the rest of the population has been astounding. And that is just a gift in and of itself, okay? But the sexual dreams finally stopped. There's a little bit more kinks I need to work out within myself, but I think ultimately above the lust, my problem has been, with like substances and stuff. avoiding. I don't avoid anymore. I've always been a very honest person with myself and with other people, and it's a blessing, honestly. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and just talk a little bit about that. I would highly suggest a lot of you guys don't be out in the streets right now. It is terrifying. It is terrifying out here. I've seen videos of people where, sorry, my neighbor just started her car. I've seen videos of people that, are already positive with, HIV or whatever, still looking for a relationship with a person. I think your priorities might be all wrong if you done already took yourself out of the game and you're still looking for, partnership on this level. I think there is no relationship that would be better than the one that you could have with God and with yourself, right? It's just unfortunate that there's a lot of people that are lost. There's a lot of people that don't want to admit and acknowledge that God exists. And there's a lot of people that are in bondage within themselves and are under oppression, basically, from demonic entities. And the fact that they don't want to acknowledge God is why they are still under these influences. There are some people that never want to progress in this life. And if you find that you are not somebody that's like that and you actually want to better yourself, you'll learn how to separate yourself from the rest of the people, and everything takes time. Nothing is, and that's something else too that bothers a lot of people, just timing. God's timing is very, very different. Everybody wants things now. There is no patience. Once you can conquer the lust and learn how to control yourself a little bit, you do start getting an understanding of patience and the value of it, right? Because what you might think you're ready for, like a marriage or whatever, God might not think you are, or he might still be working on a person that he does have lined up for you. But I think if you want to have a healthy relationship, just in general, you need to have a good relationship within yourself, and you need to have a good relationship with God. And ways to do that is have self-control over your impulses, over lust, and over addictions. I don't think you can have a healthy relationship if you are somebody battling with addictions. And that is coming from personal experience. I honestly don't think that a healthy relationship can be sustained if you guys are both using substances, okay? And that's just from what I've seen and experienced on my own. But yeah, 20 District of Columbia, 2022, 100,000 people. Georgia, 100,000 people. Florida, 100,000 people. If these are numbers from 2022, I could only imagine what they are right now. All right. But yeah, God is definitely separating the wheat from the tares, and you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side because you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to elevate yourself, you've got to start with the lust. That is one of the best suggestions I have for you. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and, share my thoughts with that. I did see a couple other videos about ureaplasma too. Yeah, that's something that, if you're a woman that, you just know when something's wrong, right? Burning when you're urinating, or, every test that they've ran is fine. You should check and see if they can test you for ureaplasma or mycoplasma. They don't really classify that as an STD, but just for the simple fact that ureaplasma can be found within the urinary tract in men and women, but it is more often than not passed on sexually, okay? But yeah, if you are somebody that is consistently having issues and you know that there is something wrong and you don't feel right, definitely get checked out for ureaplasma and mycoplasma. Okay. And if you do happen to, find something like that going on, I think your partner needs to be treated too. But I'm going to reiterate the fact that if I am talking about something here that you are unfamiliar with, please, please, please research. You can't trust people, and you definitely cannot trust the situations that are going on right now. If your head is telling you to investigate something, please research it. But I will try to make another video tomorrow. I just wanted to get on here and say that. I wanted to just take the time out to do that. But yes, I hope you guys all have a good night.